Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about methods. Methods are nothing but kind of like a subroutine that you call to perform a specific function. So you can reuse that subroutine whenever you want that function performed. We're going to create a new class called method test in section 2. Method test. We'll create our main method, and let's say we want to perform a calculation operation, right? We want to add two numbers. Let's go ahead and define two numbers, right? Number 1 equals 10, int number 2 equals 20. We can always say result int result equals number 1 plus number 2, and then we can system dot out dot println that, right? This we have seen already. Let's just quickly run it. Run Java application. So we got 30, right? But what if we have, let's say, 100 of these operations to be performed, or 200 of these operations to be performed? We don't want to repeat this statement 200 times, right? Because later, if you realize that your calculation should not be an addition, it should rather be a multiplication, for example, you don't want to go and change 200 of those statements, right? It would be nice if you can keep that calculation elsewhere, right? And reuse that calculation so that if you have to change your calculation formula or something later, it's easy to change. That's basically the concept of a method, right? Let's see how we can create something like that. So after the main methods curly brace, create a public static. We will learn what static means in a later video, but for now just follow along. We'll just say public static int calculate. I'm going to explain what all this in a little bit. And let's just type int number 1, int number 2, and in here we want to calculate this, right? So let's just go ahead and copy this guy and then paste it right here. So we are doing the calculation and we need to do a return result. So what's going on here? So public, we always make methods public, not always, but for now we're going to make the methods public. We're going to learn about this in a later video. Same with static. Let's just go ahead and type static for now. Int, this means the method is going to return something. So what int says is this method calculate is going to perform some action, right? Some function, and then at the end of it, it's going to result in an integer number, right? That's what this is saying. Which is why if so the return result performs that action, right? It returns the value. If I comment this out, I'm going to get an error saying this method must return a type of a result of type int, right? So int says the method returns something, and then we say calculate, which is the method name, and then we have two parentheses, right? Within that, we're going to say what are the parameters, right? What are the values that the method can receive to perform whatever action it can, it is meant to do. In this case, we're saying the calculate method is going to receive two numbers. Both of them are type int. Right? That's basically what it is. So public static return type int, method name calculate, and it's receiving two parameters, number one and number two, of type integer, right? And a method is always encapsulated within, or the method body is always encapsulated within curly braces. This is very important. This is not optional. And inside that, you will type whatever that method is supposed to do. In here, we want to calculate, which is basically an addition of the two numbers coming in, which is going to be stored in a result of type integer, and we're going to return that result. Now, keep in mind that just because this is number one doesn't mean whatever you are passing to it is number one. We'll see that in a little bit. We'll comment this out because we don't need this anymore. But what we're going to do is say int result equals um, type calculate, see what you get. So I pressed control space because Eclipse can auto-complete it. So we said calculate number one and number two. Eclipse populates it because it knows number one and number two are the two parameters, right? Here we already have variables named number one and number two. This is what I was saying earlier. These names need not match. You can easily change them to num1 and num2, and your calculation you can change to num1 and num2, right? And even this guy, you can say result2, return result2, right? Whatever you have within the method for the parameters or even the return type, return variable name, need not match what you are passing in, right? That is a key to remember. So we have two numbers. We're saying call the method calculate, pass the two numbers as parameters, and whatever is returned, save it in a new variable called result of type integer, right? And then we are printing it. If you save it and then run it again, you'll get the same result because now the method was called. Now, if you change, you can change this to a multiplication and run it again. Now you'll get 200. So if we were to do 10 of these calculations, right? Let's say I'm just going to, for example purposes, I'm going to copy this guy. Right? So I'm going to, we don't need to declare the variable again. So I'm going to take that out. So now we have three of them. Run it, you get three times, right? So that's the basic idea. The activities are performed only once, or the code is written only once and it's reused. So it's easy to maintain and change it later if needed. So that's basically the concept of method. A method is just like a subroutine that is coded to perform a particular activity so that you can reuse it in any place. That's basically it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.